Hello, everyone. I don't normally just jump straight into it like this. You know, I'm gonna blow my freaking nose again. I think he went live.
While the ever-changing news cycle that saps the best to draw people's focus away from the most important aspect of this year's election, party and their willingness to just toss out our constitutional process in service of Donald Trump. And today's example of that is Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who is desperately trying to become Donald Trump's vice presidential running mate, and thus she has to answer questions about Trump's attempt to block the peaceful transfer of power in 2020 and 2021, and answer them in the most anti-democratic way imaginable. And here's Caitlin Collins on CNN confronting Elise Stefanik on what she would have done on January 6th if she had been Trump's vice president. And Collins does a good job of shutting down the dishonest talking points from Stefanik.
Good.
Take a look. Vice presidency, because you just said that you would be willing to serve in Trump administration. Had you been vice president on January 6th, 2021, what would you have done? I stood up for the Constitution. I believe it was what would you have done if you were vice president? I would not have done what Mike Pence did. I don't think that was the right approach. I specifically stand by what I said on the House floor, and I stand by my statement, which was that there was unconstitutional overreach in states like Pennsylvania, and
bullshit.
It's very important that we continue to stand for the Constitution and have legal and secure elections, which we did not have in 2020.
You're full of shit, lady. No, they don't.
The state of Pennsylvania said that Republican path changes to their law was constitutional. But it's notable to hear you say, given you're in the running to be the vice president, that you would have rejected those votes. Come this election, when Vice President Harris is in that position, would you be okay if she rejected the votes if Donald Trump won? Listen, we need to make sure the election is constitutional and legal. We're talking about Democrats. It's not, Caitlin. It was unconstitutional when there was circumventing state legislatures unilaterally changing election law. I stand by my statement on the House floor, and again, tens of millions of Americans agree with that statement.
No, they don't.
About the validity and legitimacy are so in doubt about the about because the American people have the questions on the Constitution and Republicans. And let me say this for you: when it comes to this election, we're seeing the Democrats trying to remove President Trump from the ballot. That is not constitutional.
Actually, yes, it is. Not only is it constitutional, it's because of the Constitution that this is happening. Lady, my eyes can't roll any farther back in my head without snapping off their optical nerve.
Responsible for determining something is or isn't constitutional, and they've weighed in on this already, plenty, and they disagree with Stefanik.
Mm-hmm.
So really, what Lee Stefanik is saying then is that if you personally feel if you got a vibe this thing was unfair in an election that just so happens to line up with your ambition for one person to stay in power, not if that's determined in a court of law, but if you have a feeling, a snowflake fifi, then you can block the peaceful transfer of power and just keep the current president in office. That's the argument there.
Yep.
And that once again leads us to the conclusion that this is not a democratic movement willing to say these things out in public even. Here, a Republican advertising to be a VP choice for Trump, openly saying that if she were vice president, she'd be okay with not doing her constitutional duty when it comes to the certification of the election, and instead would unilaterally reject the results of the election if it didn't line up with her preferred candidate. And Caitlin Collins' question perfectly shuts down all of what Stefanik said, which is, so you're okay then with the idea of Kamala Harris choosing whether or not this next election is allowed to be certified. That's the argument. If that's what you're saying, she wouldn't address it. But if that's what you're saying, calm down. About pins on January 6th, then great. Looks like Biden and Harris don't have to worry about campaigning because they could just plan on having Harris project the results of the election and staying in power. Or Harris can call up the states and, as Republican Senator J.D. Vance suggested, say, hey, send me another slate of electors that reflect Trump even though he didn't. You remember this insane moment?
Can I answer the question I asked? Would you have certified the election results had you been vice president? If I had been vice president, I would have told the states like Pennsylvania, Georgia, and so many others that we needed to have multiple slates of electors, and I think the Congress should have fought over it from there. That is the legitimate way to deal with an election that a lot of folks, including me, think had a lot of problems in 2020.
Such creativity would have done what Donald Trump asked you to do there, not what Vice President Mike Pence did.
Hey, Pennsylvania, this is Vice President J.D. Vance. Yeah, we don't like to use census electors that cast their vote for Joe Biden. What's up with that, Pennsylvania? Well, sir, that's who our state's majority voted for. And we already certified the election. They cast their vote for Biden in the Electoral College. No, I get that. Listen, I do, but Trump, really doesn't want to leave the White House. He has this code button, and he can click it. I mean, and he keeps getting these love letters from Kim Jong-un. He's worried if he leaves, if you guys force him to leave because he lost the election, they say, then he won't get those love letters anymore. What can he do? Is that how he imagines this going? Ridiculous. And by the way, he's also, J.D. Vance, that is, interested in and being floated as a vice presidential running mate for Trump. So a prerequisite, I guess, for being Trump's VP this time around is saying that he would have undemocratically attempted to install him as the president after an election that he lost. That's the moment we're in. And I'll also remind you of another clip from a different wild interview Caitlin Collins conducted with Republican Congressman Ralph Norman, where she asked him about the text he sent 3 days before Biden's inauguration. And he sent this text to Trump's chief of staff that read, Mark, and seeing what's happening so quickly and reading about the lawsuits. 2 words for some reason. The suits that lawyers would wear, attempting to stop any full investigation. We are at a point of no return in saving our republic. Our law is invoking martial law. Please urge to president to do so, he said. And he spelled martial like the name Marshall and not martial law like martial arts, but when he was encouraging the president of the United States to seize military control of the government and then refuse to leave office. And here was his response recently to a question about this.
But, when you talk about what the voters decide, I have to ask you, because you and I have never spoken before in an interview, about a text message that you sent to Mark Meadows. It was 3 days before President Biden was graded, and you were urging the White House to use the U.S. military to prevent the peaceful transfer of power. Do you regret sending that message?
The only thing I regret, I misspelled martial law. I misspelled that. No, I didn't. Look, everything happened so quick in that election. The time that was given to see if the ballots were real, see if
we have Congress people saying they don't regret encouraging the President of the United States to conduct a military coup. A different Congress person saying she would have tried to block the peaceful transfer of power if she were vice president. And a senator saying the same. And they're all doing this in service of the man who wrote on Truth Social, remind you, quote, a massive fraud of this type of magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, articles, even those found in the Constitution, calling for the termination of the Constitution, while also saying he'll lock up his political opponents in second term. The government should come down hard on media outlets, etc. If you have a shred, a scrap, iota of respect for our Constitution and democratic process, you just can't vote, frankly, for this MAGA Republican.
Leave it.
That's simple. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. You can become a member at LukeBeasleyShow.com/membership.
I love how that works.
a spiritual activist, shamanic practitioner, published author, entrepreneur, known to many in our audience, I'm sure, as the Q shaman or QAnon shaman. He was convicted and served some time for his role in the January 6th Trump riots, which I am sure we will also talk about. I really appreciate your time.
I appreciate it. I think it's more like a state setup riot than Trump riots. I don't think that people do that. I think it was more likely that the feds in the crowd and Youth and BLM were largely responsible. The police throwing tear gas and concussing grenades into a peaceful crowd that probably had something to do with it.
Well, hold on. Let's go through piece by piece because we have plenty of time to get to everything if we just do it sequentially. So, in court, through your lawyers, as I reviewed the records, to some degree, you made the case that you were there because of Trump. So I'm interested in this conflict between clearly Trump did motivate you to be there, but also you're saying it was Antifa and the FBI. But aren't you evidence that that's not the case, Jake?
Well, my previous lawyer misrepresented me in pretty much every single way.
You denounced the arguments made by your lawyer.
Well, yeah, on a number of occasions, he said things that I never asked him to say. I never felt like Trump, never said that. I'm not mentally ill, not bipolar, schizophrenic, delusional, or.
You were certainly delusional. There's no questions of that one.
So
you were obviously mentally ill.
Regardless of the argument that was made in court,
for at least being brainwashed.
January 6th were carried out by, tell me which groups it was again?
Well, it's actually, if you look at it objectively,
yes.
You look at the setup that was very there from a very early stage prior to January 6th, what you're going to find is that largely the parties responsible would be people like Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Yogananda Pittman, Mark Milley in the Pentagon, Christopher Wray in the FBI, and people in Antifa and BLM.
How do you know that any of that is true? What evidence do you have, for example, that Nancy Pelosi was involved in what happened that day?
Well, because if you look into the testimony of former Capitol Police Chief Sund, he had his emergency powers revoked by Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell prior to January 6th events, and they had to go. He had to go through them in order to deploy the National Guard. And when
Are you guys must be playing with boxes? Well, sounds like shit.
it was about creating a setup that a psyop may ensue and weaponization of Justice Department, the DOJ, to then be used to go after Trump and his supporters.
But that's a word salad, Jake. It doesn't address the crux of the question.
No, it does. It does. How? Allow me to address it. So, because of the events of January 6th, there have been thousands of Trump supporters that have been labeled domestic terrorists.
Because they showed up and committed crimes. You're saying they were directed to do that.
But listen to that, dude. That's not the same thing as committing acts of domestic terrorism in the way that there has been acts of domestic terrorism committed, say, for over 200 days all over the country during the 2020 riots by Antifa and BLM, claiming in their own, on their own website that they wanted to overthrow.
But Jake, that's a non sequitur. I have to interrupt it. Because what you have to understand is, imagine that I was accused of attempted murder. It is of no importance whatsoever if a year prior someone else somewhere else also tried to kill someone. You can't use that as my defense. What you're saying is that part of the defense of what the people on January 6th did is your perception of what BLM did a year earlier. basically centralized power.
I thought maybe this dumbass pulled his head out of his ass after getting arrested.
Okay, let me ask you a real practical question. You're talking about being designated domestic terrorist. I want to be super specific here because I really want to understand your view on this. These cases like yours were federal cases. There is no official designation of domestic terrorism by the U.S. federal government as such, and where? The Mockingbird
Scared you? You're as bad as the boys. Getting tired of telling you cats to stay out of shit. And then you refuse to listen. Really pissing me off. Yes, yes it is.
Let's conduct this interview in a sensible way. Okay? Let's stick with one of the things you said. When we finish with it, we'll go to the next one. Okay? You said that many of the people charged for their alleged involvement on January 6th have been designated as domestic terrorists by the weaponized DOJ. I then said to you, there is no such designation by the U.S. government in the legal proceedings that you're talking about. So what do you mean they were designated domestic terrorists by the weaponized DOJ? You said, well, the Mockingbird media did it. So are you... Hold on. Finish the question. That's what I'm saying. The Mockingbird media. You first said that the weaponized DOJ issued that label. When I told you no such label exists, you said it was actually the media. So, from a legal standpoint,
Yeah, that's exactly what you said, dude.
okay, what it is that I was saying, tell me that. What it is that I'm saying is that the DOJ has labeled numerous Trump supporters that were there on January 6th, and some people that weren't there on January 6th, as domestic terrorists. And you labeled them how to. And I'll tell you, you can look into the testimony of Steve Friend, the FBI whistleblower who came forward and was talking about how it is that the FBI is designating these people as domestic terrorists and then handing these cases to FBI field officers all over the country. Instead of treating it like it was one incident on one day at one location. And in this way, they're actually expanding their domestic terrorism investigations all over the country, creating the illusion that there is some sort of domestic terrorism threat from white Trump supporters. Listen, it seems as though, I don't want to spend the whole interview on this. As of 2 weeks ago, none of the individuals involved in the January 6th riots have been designated as domestic terrorists. There is no specific domestic terrorism statute, and none of the individuals that you're referring to have actually been designated in that way by the DOJ. That's your opinion. But people have heard your opinion, now they've heard yours. What about the terrorist enhancements that are being placed on people? Are you telling me that that isn't a classification? There just is no such classification. If you want to give me a specific case, Jake, hold on. That's on their case. I would be glad to look at that and give my opinion.
Seriously?
That's a different claim altogether. It's just a different claim. Let me ask you this. You said that some of the things said by your lawyer during the trial are not that day.
I pull out every other freaking ball. But no. You gotta go for that one.
Just so you know, there's like a battle going in the background. I don't know if you hear that. Oh, just no. Do you blame anyone other than yourself for inducing and trapping or goading you into doing what you did on that day? Not at all. Just plain and simple, you don't blame anybody else. No, I took full responsibility for my actions. Okay. When it comes to some of the views that you have been associated with, I've seen, again, this is from things your lawyer has said, so you tell me what it means, that you have distanced yourself from, like the QAnon shaman stuff. You don't consider yourself a follower of QAnon. Like, is that true?
Well, QAnon is a label and a straw man created by the monster media, and they called me QAnon shaman and have the audacity to say that's what I call myself. So
what I'm asking you is just make sense of nothing like that.
Well, that really all depends on what you think Q views are. What do you think Q views are?
I think the biggest overriding view is that there is a sort of conspiracy of child abuse and pedophilia that is carried out by so-called elites, the deep state and Democrats, which Donald Trump was chosen by God to become president and then stop.
Okay, so I don't
Hello.
necessarily agree with all of that. If you're looking at Jeffrey Epstein and what he was doing, if you look into the finders, if you look into the Franklin cover-up, if you look into the testimony of Ronald Bernard, if you look into the Barney Frank scandal,
It sure sounds like it.
if you look into the numerous scandals that are coming out now, we're talking about debunked Pizzagate, and now they're being arrested and charged with child porn charges and child abuse charges, then it's quite clear that there is some sort of an elite trafficking pedophilia ring in D.C. and Hollywood.
That's right.
If you look into the testimony of Corey Feldman, if you look into the testimony of a lot of these young people that were groomed in Hollywood and raped at young ages, then it's quite clear that there is some sort of elite child sex trafficking going on.
So you believe that?
Well, you don't.
No, I've not seen any evidence of that whatsoever.
So I just gave you all of these facts. I just gave you all these things that you can look up.
No,
Look it up.
that's not facts, buddy.
Well, we can look up. So this is what's called the setting small fires conundrum. Okay. I have investigated Pizzagate and QAnon to a degree that I think is completely reasonable, and have looked at some, but not all, of the things you just mentioned. The thing that becomes difficult is you are extremely skeptical of accepting any official source for any claim. But at the same time, you argue that if I'm not familiar with every proverbial
Is it doing the bullshit?
that certainly what you're saying must be true, even though you're also not citing any sources for these things. It's tough to have a real conversation when someone does that, you know?
Well, look into the government website on the finders that this has been declassified. Okay. It was trafficking children for satanic ritual abuse, keeping them in cages. They were abducting children off the street, and this was, well, the whistle was blown by the
I'll look into that.
Okay. I'll look into that. Now look into the Franklin cover-up. That's where the rising Republican star Lawrence King was trafficking children out of CPS, forcing them to satanic rituals while they did cocaine and molested children. Okay, look into the Lieutenant Colonel Michael Lucino, in charge of psychological warfare and mind control for the Army. Look into his scandals on military.
Listen, we can't possibly do all of these things here. What I will tell you is, this is an example. We have this in a way that makes sense for the audience. Okay? So if you want to come back, give me the full list of stuff and we can investigate it. The one I've investigated that you mentioned is the Franklin conspiracy. There is essentially no credible evidence that what you just described is going on. It has been investigated deeply. There are documents people can find. We can't make this about Franklin conspiracy. You mentioned one I'm familiar with, and what I'm telling you is everything you've disputed, and in my opinion, not backed by evidence. Now, the second part. You believe a bunch of stuff I said. Do you believe Trump was sent by God to solve that problem?
I don't necessarily think that is a accurate portrayal. I think that we're all here on God's will. So I'll say that much.
Okay. Do you think Trump maybe was sent by God to deal with it?
I think everybody was sent here by God. Okay.
But you have
Get it, you doof.
I don't know. I mean, I got the same kind of citing for all this other stuff. Okay. Hey, so you're now running for a congressional seat. Talk to me about what is the platform?
Focus, idiot.
Why would you be a good member of Congress?
Because I'm actually going to represent the American people. The first four things that I'm going to introduce to the House floor
Damn.
is a single bill voting law, an amendment for term limits for congressmen and a criminalization of lobbying, and seven-figure
Fair enough.
expulsion and
Trust
prosecution
me, I
for
get that.
insider trading. And believe me, there's a
You know
much
that
longer
well.
list to go along with that, but those are the first four things I intend to do.
Do you think that your criminal past is going to be useful or maybe hurtful in this campaign?
Well, the fact of the matter is I don't have a criminal past. I have one felony for which that is the only crime I've ever committed in my life. And no, I don't think it's going to be a hindrance whatsoever.
Why not? Don't you think that it's something that may make people say, well, hold on a second.
No, the focus of the camera because it wasn't adjusting properly.
Well,
It was like, I can't focus.
right now are probably both themselves, considering all the insider trading and all the cocaine and orgies and all the workers that they hire. Then, I probably don't see that is going to be a problem at all.
All right, we're going to follow it with interest. A couple of other things I want to talk about.
Not you,
I don't
you
want
booger.
to simply ascribe the label conspiracy theorist. It's a label that just stops conversation, and I want to have a conversation. But I do want to ask you about some other beliefs and see sort of like what is the network of beliefs. Talk to us a little bit about QAnon. It has been said by prosecutors that you believe you are an alien or a higher being of some kind. Is that true? Is that a belief you hold?
As a shamanic practitioner, I have a hyperdimensional consciousness that stretches far beyond the bounds of my physical body.
So that's a yes, it sounds like.
Well, do you know what a bodhisattva is?
Generally speaking, yeah. Sort of a spiritual figure of sorts that people may follow, yeah.
Well, kind of. It's a spiritual being that attends a certain level of enlightenment, but reincarnates over and over again consciously until all of humanity
Well, what actually is, yes, this guy is not what he's stating.
All right, so it sounds like you do believe
this guy, oh my.
Well, I think we all have the capacity to be quote unquote higher beings.
This guy's been so brainwashed, it's stupid.
I'm just more conscious of it than others.
Fair. When it comes to vaccination,
They are interviewing the QAnon shaman, the one that during the January 6th riot sat there and went in full shaman garb and was part of the Kaplan group. And this one is brainwashed.
And considering people like Bill Gates, who are behind a lot of these vaccines, are admitted eugenicists, I don't trust them one little bit at all. Give me or anybody a vaccine.
So it's not that you reject the science of vaccination as a principle, the inoculation. You just don't like who's making the vaccines because you believe that they have genocidal
A
beliefs.
spiritual leader for the January 6th insurrection group.
Sound for the most part. However, the ingredients that are being put in modern vaccines by these eugenicist-owned companies are detrimental to human health.
Like what ingredients?
Oh, things like formaldehyde, things like dead fetal tissue, things like mercury-based compounds penetrate the blood-brain barrier, all sorts of stuff that's in there. Preservatives for the microbiological life forms. There's all sorts of stuff in these vaccines. Just look at the list.
Well, you know that, again, Jacob, we can't do every single one of these. But like the dead fetal tissue in vaccines, you know that that's not true. There were stem cell lines obtained from fetal tissue used to research and develop the vaccines, but you're suggesting like they're injecting a dead baby into everybody. That's crazy.
It is.
You gotta see that that's crazy.
No, you see, you're clearly not doing your research, but that's okay.
I've researched it. Tell me where I'm wrong.
You on it right now.
I'm sorry, you said you're not equipped to debate me on that right now.
No, what I'm saying is that because of our time constraints, I'll argue until the 9th hour, but, our time constraints won't allow it.
But to be clear, I'm saying pieces of dead babies are not an ingredient in the vaccines. You're saying that they are.
No, what I'm saying is dead fetal tissue.
Yes.
It's cells from dead babies.
Tissue, right? It's part of a dead baby.
And that also goes into our food. That goes into our food as well. So it's like, don't.
My God, this guy's fucking brainwashed.
This is what
sounds like we're not necessarily.
Yeah, that's what they say about the election too.
Right, no, I think Joe Biden won, that's true.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you do.
Hey, in the limited time you have left, do you regret what you did on January 6th? Aside from, I know you've said,
The answer is no.
You've already talked a little bit about it and said you're responsible, etc. Would everybody have been better off, including you, if you had just never gone on that thing?
I think everybody in the country would be better off if the government didn't set things up the way that they did.
Did they set you up to go? Because you've taken responsibility. You went because you wanted to go. So why is it that now you blame the government?
Thank you.
What I'm saying to you is that it was a setup on behalf of the deep state. If they allowed the National Guard to be there, it never would have happened. Okay. And regarding this notion of regret, I don't regret anything in life, even though I've made several mistakes, because regret is far too heavy a burden to carry.
No. This fool. Oh my.
And then at that point, it's not a mistake; it's a lesson.
Oh. As you may hear, the vaccine does not contain stem cells from dead babies. This is not legit.
Like, I know you could very easily say, well, I learned how powerful the
We got the same vaccine over here you guys did.
Are there any lessons about you that you learned from having been there that day?
Was there stem cells used in the research to make it? Yes, in the research.
What lesson is that?
Not in the finished product. And that's something that fools like this are forgetting. Or conveniently leaving out.
A good note to end our interview on. You can speak with Jake Angeli Chansman.
I mean, case in point, there's not stem cells in our food. Pretty strong. That's not a thing. But no, the American far right does have issue with anything dead baby, be it actual full pregnancy baby or just an embryo. They consider it the same damn thing. And that's why we're having this fight over women's anatomy rights, which is fucking stupid. The only one who should have any choice over a woman's body is a woman. That woman, as a matter of fact. The woman that is affected by it. Not anybody else. Nobody else has that right. Not even a doctor has the right to tell a woman she has to take a baby to term or anything like that. Not even a doctor can do that. They can suggest, hey, this isn't a good idea. But they can't tell her no. You can't. Or you have to. Or this or that. That's not how this country works. And that's why guys like that. That is the level of ignorance that we deal with in this country currently. That is the MAGA right. He was one of their community heads, I guess you could say. I hope dipshit had seen the light, but no. That was actually rather disappointing. I was hoping to see some progress. This is the live moment.
The planet is spinning with plastic, and unless we can find a sustainable alternative, we don't die.
All in an election year. How convenient.
It's 100% what it is. And I got to tell you, what I saw today was a lot like Miss James in New York.
Trump lawyer panics live on
It's the
TV.
similar arrogance that you're seeing come out of it because they know they have the judges in their pockets and they have Sanders backing or whoever it is that Reid Hoffman, the Democratic Party, backing this. This is not what the courts are supposed to be used for, Sean, and it's disgusting. It's disgraceful. I really want to say to any of the judges that are out there that have anything left is looking at the cases, looking at facts, looking at law, make our profession proud. Because what I'm seeing is complete politicization of our legal system. It's not right. It's an election year. It's election interference. You shouldn't be tying up a candidate. And now we got Stormy Daniels. I mean, her lawyer went to jail. Michael Cohen just perjured himself, admitted to it on this stage.
As far as that one goes, when does the soul settle in the body? Depending on who you ask, it doesn't. Depending on who you ask, the body's just for that, and the soul's itching to be free. Basic exchange, right? So, I mean, that kind of depends. If I was to say that there was a point where it happened, it would be when that person has actually come to understand themselves and know who they are. I think it was just best sound for Terry, honestly. I'm not sure how Terry listens to his streams.
Check. All right, mic check's there. It seems to be that for him, for some reason, Bluetooth works better. Okay. Oh. If I was to say a body actually settles in a soul, I would say it's when the physical form has adapted and started working with the mental, spiritual forms well enough to work in almost harmony or unison. That is the point I would say the soul settles into the body, if it ever does. Hello, welcome in, Kat. And Kat, I can't turn the camera on you. You kind of have to do that. You have to stream from your side. I can't do nothing about that. Yeah, there's only one kind of shaman I respect. Oh. And that is the Native American shaman. Not sure I could quite say anybody else that presents themselves as shaman. I could say, yeah, I would agree. Just because they don't actually understand what it means to be a shaman. You can't think being a shaman lightly. It's certainly not something you sit there and take in public per se. shaman is supposed to be tribal based, and a shaman works with the tribe. Yeah, and it's not unheard of. It's not. I've actually talked to a few people, and there's scientific recording of it. Both memories of past lives as well as memories of time in the womb. Nope. Science doesn't say anything negative against it, just that it doesn't know. Science has no way to prove it. So it's considered scientific theory. Yup. But because of our current tools, there's only so much they can do. They believe there's something there, but they can't quite get it yet. It's like trying to measure something but having the wrong tool. You gotta remember timing stuff. Besides, just means you learn something. Oh yeah, like I said, still trying to find the right tools to do the measuring. Case in point, for the longest time we had no tools to measure gravity, sound, light. We didn't have microscopes. We didn't have telescopes. So we weren't able to see the planets or the microscopic. We had to create tools for that. And that's the same base scenario that we're looking at here. Is not having quite the right tools just yet. Hope my bed sheets come today. My bracelets would be nice too, but they're just for looks. But can't say that. It's comfort too. I like my spikes. Miss my spikes. I would quite literally sit there and spike out an entire black leather jacket just for those days I'm feeling prickly. And we can see those microscopic germs and amoebas too. And we've been able to study them and figure out what, how, where, why. Well, with space we can't say all the why. Or all that's there or how, but still, that's the whole thing about science, is it is the form and fact of learning. Not from the childhood aspect, but from the overall existence aspect. Now, as I have to quite agree with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Exactly. What the fuck? Not even close. Not even close. Not at all. We just got, which one was it? James Webb Telescope. We just got it upgraded so we could see farther out in the last couple of months. And holy shit. The whole finite universe, finite universe, they're having to rethink. Because the farther out we can see, the farther we see, there's more planets, more solar systems, more galaxies. So, there is even possibility of there being legitimately multiverse. We just, again, don't have the tools to measure it because we can't get through those black holes. But the thought theory with a black hole is if you could survive intake, which is possible through extremely large black holes, if you can survive the event horizon, the thought theory and idea is you come out on the other side in a different time and space. AKA the black hole being part of the wormhole. And for those that didn't kind of get that idea back during, I don't know, Stargate or Space, Star Trek, or any of these others that have actually sat there and given us wormhole theory, even on most basic of terms, you would have this little bit of information. Yeah. Hey, Salvo. No. The thing about the black holes is they are a gravitational field and horizon. And the bigger the black hole, the less gravity at the horizon, the less crushing force. And that is why it might be possible. It is still scientific theory because we do not have all the data and facts. But we are talking quantum level stuff. Thank you, Salvo. And this is the kind of stuff I listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson for, who is a quantum physicist. Yeah, kind of like I was telling Terry last night, I spend my days chit-chatting with y'all, listen to either political law or scientific law. I mean, it's only scientific law because, well, science is its own law in itself, blah, 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 blah. We don't truly know just yet. The theory is that it's not put out in a different form unless it's just been crushed and destroyed by the gravity. That would certainly do it. But otherwise, the actual thought theory is, if done properly, one could actually take a shuttle through a black hole and come out the other side of that black hole in a different time and space. Let that sink in. Not just different time, but a different physical location as well. And wormholes are not permanent. Black holes are not permanent. And this creates a little bit of a study issue as well. Black holes eventually dwindle and die. And can, if I'm remembering my stuff correctly, even form a new star. As a matter of fact, the whole Big Bang Theory was created by a black hole. And maybe that's what a lot of people don't get about the Big Bang. They're like, well, how did all this gas and whatnot compressed together so much? What was pulling it? What pushed it together? Most of the time. But no, in that event, it is everything physics, and not speaking, says that it would be time travel. Not just kind of, but legitimate time travel. And that's the thing that's got a lot of these scientists going, "Ooh!" Because there is a working theory to make time travel work. When it says working theory, meaning it's being worked on, still being perfected and learned. But we honestly, we are within 30 years of so many advancements. Or sooner if we could get our species to cooperate. If we could get our bloody species to cooperate, there'd be nothing out of our reach. That is my shoe straight. That is not a toy. I will get after you with that every bloody time. I would much rather not have my boot strings tore up. Yeah, boogers. I need those to put those on my feet. Damn it. Oh. Thank you. It's got a bump. So, I am waiting on bedsheet delivery. Can't wait to have a sheet that actually fits! Not to mention, nice to have a nice satin sheet again. I mean, my bracelets come with it, but I'm not as excited for those as I am the bed sheet. I have a nice bed sheet again.
And how much lower can we go? Read Pomerantz's book if you have any questions about it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous and it has to stop, Sean. Honestly, the only way we're going to stop it is in 2024.
I don't think the president can get a fair hearing in New York. I certainly don't believe. I think he got 5% of the vote in D.C. I don't think he can get a fair trial there at all. He certainly was never going to get one out of Fulton County, Georgia. Maybe Florida, he has a fair shot. But that case never should have happened, especially in light of what we learned from the Robert Hur report about Joe Biden and his classified document scandal, especially what we know about.
There was no scandal. Somebody found that he had bad docs. Okay, cool. Yeah, when Biden found out that he still had some classified documents from time as vice president, he went, I flipped up, here you go. Didn't fight it, didn't argue it, just went, oh shit, my bad, here you go.
That's coming from perhaps
Trump did not. Trump took classified documents out of the White House from his time as president, had them at Mar-a-Lago, and refused to give them back.
basically directing that messages to Supreme Court justices and other federal court judges,
Which
just goes
becomes
to
a felony.
show you how overwhelming this moment is for Donald Trump right now, with all of the various criminal cases proceeding rather expeditiously right now. We're in that moment where we said we would be here at the Midas Touch Network, where everything is going to happen very quickly, kind of all at once. And right, you had the first kind of thing that happened was Judge Juan Merchan in the Manhattan District Attorney case, the 34 criminal count indictment against Donald Trump, said, we're going to trials, March 25th, 2024. Yeah, when I put that trial date, guess what, Mr. Trump, criminal defendant Trump, I meant that. And Donald Trump and his lawyers, I guess, thought they would bully Judge Juan Merchan. Perhaps they thought by their treatment and attacks on Justice Engoron and Judge Tanya Chutkin and Fulton County District Attorney Bonnie Willis, I don't know, maybe they threatened and intimidate Justice Juan Merchan not to set the trial date in the Manhattan District Attorney criminal case, but Manhattan is ready to go. So now the United States Supreme Court also has a major decision to make, which we expect to happen any moment now, because the application for a stay pending the petition for certiorari on the D.C. circuits affirming of the district court's ruling denying Donald Trump's motion to dismiss the Washington, D.C. federal criminal indictment on absolute presidential immunity grounds is fully briefed before the United States Supreme Court. And so I think Alina Habba's message is also to the Supreme Court justice right there. By the way, she pulled the same crap back in December of 2023 when Donald Trump argued to the Supreme Court that they shouldn't hear when Special Counsel Jack Smith went to the Supreme Court to try to expedite things there. You remember back in December where Alina Habba tried those same tactics? If you don't, let me remind you, this is from mid-December of 2023. Play the clip. I brought some shoes in the dream. All you have to do
Not this.
on the phone.
And I believe someone had called on the Supreme Court to do this exact thing. We need the Supreme Court to step in and stop this. This has become complete mayhem. And if they don't start looking at these decisions, and as the highest court in this country, as the arbiter of law, the ultimate arbiter of the Constitution, the people that are supposed to enforce our bedrock, if they don't start doing it, which thank goodness they are, we have some law and order hopefully soon.
And so this is what Alina Habba basically does. She goes on right-wing media and she attacks judges, extorts judges. Alina Habba, who's probably, I don't think she's ever won any major trials in her life. I mean, she didn't even know how to introduce evidence and establish foundations in the E. Jean Carroll defamation trial, which Donald Trump lost when she was Trump's counsel. It was an $83.3 million defamation verdict. By the way, that first clip I showed you, I'm not trying to characterize Alina Habba's behavior in any way, but it did look like there was perhaps some. She looked sad, I'll just say that. Anyway, here's Alina Habba right here. Again, this was from one day before that. So this is all happening in the past 48 hours. Here she is attacking Justice Arthur Engoron, who, of course, is Justice Engoron's been doing right now. And
Trying to walk through the damn keyboard?
Grr. This is what she had to say about Justice Arthur Engoron.
Yes, if I could file the appeal now, I would. If there's no surprises coming here, it's much of the same that we've seen in New York, and I'll be loud and booming right after we get the decision. I mean, I don't have high hopes. I do believe that there is some, ethics left. I hope that Judge Engoron sees through this, but quite honestly, I've seen it time and time again. I've been on weeks and weeks and weeks of trial in New York, and the corruption runs deep. The Trump derangement syndrome, frankly, runs even deeper, and they can't see straight. They can't apply law to facts. There was absolutely no laws broken. People made money. Their statements of financial conditions were undervalued, but they'll figure out a way, a loophole, even using a consumer fraud claim, not giving us a jury.
And what she's saying is so offensive to the law, so offensive to common sense, so offensive to facts, but she gets platformed on Newsmax and right-wing media where she kind of spews this just garbage. That's what it is. It's garbage. She says, but they can't apply the law to fact. They can't apply the law to fact. Absolutely no law is broken. People made money. What are you talking about? First off, it's not even a legal analysis there. The summary judgment found that there was no disputed facts that Donald Trump engaged in this conduct because on the very documents themselves, there would be two separate sets of books. One showing lower valuations when he wanted to pay less taxes, one showing higher valuations when he wanted to get favorable loans. He would flip-flop back and forth, and he would lie to lenders, and he would lie to insurers, and he would lie to appraisers. In fact, even Independent Monitor,
I ain't got no problem calling somebody like that.
Judge Barbara Jones, who was assigned as the Independent Monitor over the 14 months that the case was pending, said during the pendency of the case, Donald Trump had incomplete, inconsistent, and erroneous financial statements and identified in footnote 6 a $48 million phantom loan. By the way, here's Alina Habba from that same Newsmax interview, and he or she's talking about how there are no facts that support their basis. Huh? What?
This is insane. On this case, which I sat through trial, I can tell you, there is absolutely no facts that support their basis. We have been in 3 years of hell with this AG that ran on getting Trump before she even knew anything about Trump, got elected, and has made good on her promise, and now we've got a judge that's helping. It is beyond corrupt, and I'm telling you, there was absolutely, not only was there not evidence, there was evidence to the contrary. The evidence shows that the Trump Organization helped the city of New York, employs thousands of people, pays hundreds of millions in employment taxes, and now they're going to push them out of the state that he helps build because politics. It's so sad, Eric. It's a really sad part of our country, and it's really made me disappointed in my bar.
So that's what Habba is doing also. It's a refresher. Back in January 2023, take our time machine back for a moment. Alina Habba would go on the networks and she would pretend that she was winning everything. She was saying, people don't know about all the winning. This is from January 2023. Well, Alina Habba, how's all of that winning?
That Saul is cast to level 10 and endless winter spell.
What are you suggesting, Bill?
Stan has been acting strict.
From the legal perspective, and somebody who is related and intimately involved in his legal cases, I would just like to say that, when people bring cases against him, which worries a lot of people, when you have those, but they're not within merit, there are systems in place, even when you have crooked judges, appellate division, etc., and we've been winning. They're not publicized. They're not going to be. But I invite, one time, I'll invite people to ask me questions directly next time I'm on with you, but I am happy to because I know that's something people worry about. But I have to tell you, everything is going to be fine. He is incredibly bright. He always has been, and he's always been by the books. So I will see you all in 2024. But I'm really proud to be working for somebody like President Trump, and I hope I'm in it for the long haul. It would be an honor.
Well, of course, you've got Alina Habba then giving these speeches now. She goes around and gives these speeches at right-wing conventions. That's what she does. And in these speeches, she brags about getting sanctioned now and losing. She goes on a legal loser tour and brags about losing and getting sanctioned close to $1 million, and then says, the fake news doesn't tell you about it. What are you talking about? Everyone knows you get sanctioned. Everyone knows you're a horrible lawyer. Everybody knows you don't know how to put on evidence. Everybody knows that you're a clownish lawyer. Everybody knows that you're an embarrassment to the legal profession. I guess, other than MAGA, I guess you're the ideal MAGA black lawyer. You are to law as Donald Trump is to politics. Just a bunch of lineage losers, peers, and operating.
That got assigned to a
You got a shitty way of looking at reality.
appointed judge. What do you think happened? Nobody's heard of the case, right? Because it's gone. I never met the judge.
Grow up, fool.
I never walked into the courtroom.
distracted. It's legal whack-a-mole with a tsunami of major critical decisions that have been happening over the past 24 to 48 hours. Thank you for all of your support here at the Midas Touch Network. Truly appreciate you. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel as we're growing to 3 million subscribers. I think we'll hit that number hopefully before the summer. Really appreciate you. Sign up on our newsletter, MidasTouch.com/newsletter. Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things.
Excuse you!
Signing up to the Midas Touch newsletter.
Binks!
MidasTouch.com/newsletter.
There, have it. I haven't just been telling you to stay the fuck out of there for a while now. Asshole. Fucking listen. Really sick and tired of you guys not listening. Shit.
If you're looking for a cellular service that has a super reliable network without paying those reliable
We don't want to.
let me introduce to you.
I don't give a fuck if you don't
Today
want
I
to.
am showing you how Tello has
It's not the
increased
option you
their
get.
and also decreased their prices to give you
You don't want to get in
best
trouble?
plans in
Then
the
fucking
industry,
listen.
beating out some of the best low-cost carriers.
God!
In a time where inflation
Driving me nuts, this bullshit.
every sector of our lives, Tello is saying away with that. They are helping us.
It's not like it's new shit either.
Saving money can be helpful.
It's nothing new.
Little it is. So today we're going to talk all about Tello to make sure you can get the best plan possible. I'm Sherry, your telecom expert with Whistle Out.
It's not even new to your cousins.
It is easy
Who have been getting in just as much trouble for it today, BJ.
In fact, I asked around my friend groups and even some family members. Over 100 is a normal number, but it doesn't.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ana Cabrera along with Jose Diaz Balart here in New York for special coverage of a pretrial hearing in Georgia that could jeopardize the entire Fulton County RICO case against former President Donald Trump.
We expect the court to resume any minute now, as soon as a key witness arrives at the courthouse. Willis, however, will not be taking a stand today after delivering a fiery defense Thursday, calling allegations she benefited financially from a romantic relationship with her deputy on the case lies, and forcefully reminding the court that she is not the one on trial.
We're also awaiting a verdict in the $370 million New York civil fraud trial against former President Trump and his namesake business. Now, this verdict could come at any time.
Also today, New Hampshire condemnation growing after Vladimir Putin's biggest political rival reportedly dies in prison. The circumstances surrounding his death leaving many asking, was the Kremlin directly involved?
Let's begin with the second day of that hearing into Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis and the allegations of misconduct. I'm going to go right to the Atlanta courthouse where MSNBC's Katie Fang is joining us. Katie, court, as we mentioned, is in recess right now, but we are expecting this second day of testimony in this blockbuster hearing to get underway very soon. What should we expect?
So, Ana and Jose, as always, things are so fluid. We knew that Fani Willis had basically left the stand yesterday, but was still subject to cross-examination by her own state of Georgia lawyers. But this morning, it was announced that there were no questions for Fani Willis. So she has been excused from testimony. She's done. We are waiting for the arrival of Mr. Terrence Bradley. If his name sounds familiar to you all, it's because he is the former divorce lawyer for Nathan Wade. He showed up yesterday, was supposed to be the first witness for the defense. After some fits and starts, he eventually took the stand. But then there was immediate legal wrangling over the attorney-client privilege and whether or not it prevented him from being able to provide testimony about significantly the timing of the personal relationship between Nathan Wade and Fani Willis. Mr. Bradley, on his way to court, according to his lawyers, once he arrives...
I get irritated with ignorant people, especially people that want to sit there and say that terms being used that are unisex terms are against one gender or another. Like the whole birthing person. I'm sorry. That is a unisex term for anyone who procreates and creates young, male or female. Doesn't fucking matter. As a matter of fact, they can be non-binary or freaking bi and still be in this category. This is not something to be upset about. This is just saying, you breed. Okay, this is natural. I mean, no offense, and I mean this with all respect to these couples, but any gay or lesbian couple, they're not breeding persons. They don't breed. They're not. They don't birth. They don't create young. It's a line stating this person creates little humans. This one is like this couple doesn't. Or this person doesn't. Doesn't mean that that person wouldn't necessarily, or that couple wouldn't necessarily adopt. But political rights got issues with that too. They don't like the fact that an idea of kids going into gay or lesbian or bi or even poly couple scenarios. They don't like that. They try to do the whole platonic family, one father, one mother, and kids. It's like, I'm sorry, life doesn't work that way. And the fact that you're trying to push that and say that everything else is bad is what makes you bad. Yeah, that shit pisses me off. When people going, spell that woke shit. It's like, it's not woke. It's reality, moron. I'm sorry you have such a pathetic view of reality that you think it's fake. That you think caring is bullshit. That's on you, not anybody else. And if you're looking at the world that way, you need to seek mental help. No fucking question, no side note, no nothing. You need to seek mental help. If that is the way you look at the world, that is the way you look at this left-wing movement. Is that it's woke bullshit? No. It's called being aware of your fucking surroundings. Having some courtesy for the people around you. It's called basic fucking respect. Basic respect is the shit that's given. Every other respect, you gotta fucking earn. And guess what? You can lose basic respect too. As a lot of the right-wingers are starting to come to realization. Not that they care, because they're too stuck in their own shit. Motherfuckers can't look past their own ego to actually see what's going on. To see the reality around them. No, I've got no sympathy. I don't have any empathy for that either. Federal Trade Commission warns companies to cease a deceptive and unfair practice. Federal Common. Some companies notify customers they update their terms of service agreements, and others choose to quietly make those changes. Well, it seems this will no longer fly. Oh, good. So now they actually have to say it. you upped the bloody date. They upped the delivery date on both of them. So no, my bedsheet's not going to be here today. Or possibly even be here today. It might be in a couple days. I gotta go pee. Well, that's disappointing, damn it. Really hoping my shit are coming in. You're okay, babe. You're fine. Oh. I didn't get that for potty. Should probably go smoke a fucking bowl, too. Honestly. People at the ignorance level that happen here in the United States is ridiculous. I mean, come on. Getting pissy over being called a birthing person, meaning you produce offspring. I'm sorry. Are words and phrases going a little bit more accurate nowadays? And not trying to put twists on shit. Y'all get pissy about cisgender. Well then, don't get pissy about birthing person. I mean, the biggest part of the birthing people are cisgender. They sit here and throw fits. Because there's people who are different. And they want the basic respect of being addressed so. Because they can't stand being around these people that are cisgender most of the time. Because most of the time they got their heads up their ass. I'm not cisgender. Damn close. About as close as you can be without being. I'm non-binary. In other words, no. I do not consider myself to be male or a man. For one, those motherfuckers are nasty ass, disrespectful pieces of shit to women. No thank you. That's not how I am. Those assholes see women as a fucking piece of meat. A sex object. Though I can find a woman extremely attractive, that is nowhere as close to my first thoughts. Not even. And I'm not ace. I'm not arrow ace. I do like sex. And for me, it is women that are attractive. The female body is what is attractive. But I do not qualify as this stereotypical male. There's one or two things that I can say, okay, sure. Otherwise, this machisto fucking testosterone, toxic masculinity bullshit, nah, that shit away from me. Get that ignorant ass shit away from me. And honestly, this tends to be where the political divide is those who actually understand this scenario I'm talking about right now. This is the political divide in our country. Those who understand and are willing to listen, and those who aren't and haven't been. It's just about them. One side cares about everybody. One side cares about them fucking selves. So, I'm sorry. There's only one political party here. There's a political party, and then there is a bunch of lunatics. And I feel sorry. I apologize to anyone who is not a MAGA Republican and doesn't agree with that bullshit or Trump. Believe it or not, I am including you guys over here. Because there's reality and then there's MAGA. That's what it's boiled down to. Is there's the party of reality and everybody, and then there's the party of MAGA. For MAGA, by MAGA. Fuck everybody else. I did have homework. Let's do that.
people who avoid their taxes, the white middle class people who abuse their children. They're always after the minorities, they're always after the lower classes. They do all legals and they get cards to make sure that no one sees, but they do nothing to protect people from the upper classes who are cheating and doing the same things because they have all the money.
Well, money rules. I don't deny that. It's true. What about the card? I mean, surely there is a lot of fraud, and surely 1 million or 2 million illegal aliens in this country are a hurtful thing. So
I don't believe they're that hurtful.
Oh, okay.
I think there are a lot more hurtful things going on in our society. There are people manufacturing bombs. There's a military that is supporting something like the School of the Americas. There are some really hurtful things going on in our country, more than some illegal aliens who are coming so they can send money back to their families in places like Mexico so their families can survive.
So
I agree with her.
Ourselves against the corporations who are embezzling money. I mean, why are we so concerned about the lower classes and so concerned about minorities?
I know you conservative the way you are, which is a compassionate way. But in fact, if you look at all the money we spend, about 2/3 of it to 3/4 goes for the kind of programs that you're talking about, a big part of our budget.
Doesn't a big part of our budget go for the defense too?
Well, defense has been scaled back drastically, and it's continuing to go down. No, most of our budget goes for social programs.
I'm sorry.
Paying back the debt
During this time, Art was wrong.
But does that mean that a lot of people who are in the upper classes in our society, maybe because their money is private or in private corporations, why do we excuse that so much? Why do we excuse white middle class crime? Or why don't we feel it's that important to go after?
Well, I think that it is, and why we excuse it is because our society is, in fact, balanced on the side of the rich and the powerful. It is. That is a fault or a benefit of capitalism. I don't know which the answer is, but it is.
At least he can admit that. I gotta give Art that credit.
Well, I'll tell you, most revolutions that have occurred in the world occur when the middle class, the great middle class, is no longer more or less satisfied. Revolutions rarely occur where you have a big middle class in any society. So
He's not
it
wrong.
will eventually take care of itself. If things get too far out of proportion, there will be a revolution. If the middle class basically gets
That one I can't quite agree with.
It's a self-correcting process. Other than that, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, thanks. The other thing I want to throw out maybe to listeners is the concept of a single-payer healthcare plan, what people think about that.
All right, thank you. Actually, I'm not in favor of that. That, of course, is out-and-out socialism. However,
Oh, stop it,
I
Art.
frequently thought that a single-payer
Ignorant
plan
motherfucker.
might be better than what it is that President Clinton is presently proposing. It's so damn complicated and screws everything up. If we're going to do it, we might as well do it with a simple single-payer plan. On the toll-free line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm calling from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm listening to KFYI.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm calling to talk about the card.
Oh, the card.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Is your radio off, sir?
No, it's not.
Would you turn it off, please? Thank you.
It makes it easier for the
Oh, okay.
host.
Go ahead.
The national card,
Yes.
back to what happened, Nazi Germany had a national card.
Papers, please.
Exactly. And they took and used that to control the people. They used that.
And let's talk about the IDs.
So you went here and there, but not over there we weren't allowed.
Yep.
You wanna,
Organ of oppression.
yeah, you're calling from Phoenix, right?
Yes.
Phoenix is in the great American Southwest, and Phoenix is closer than a mile to the Mexican border and greatly affected by illegal immigration. How important is it that we do something about that?
Well, illegal immigration, it does hurt the country, yes. But that is not a reason
Some of the few ones that Lincoln said that I'm not sure he said it, but to some
A
extent,
lot of crime would be eliminated. A lot of welfare
Hard.
cheating.
You already had it. Already had it, and you were too blind.
Illegal immigration could be taken care of. At least we'd have the right to ask who's an American citizen and who is not. But there would be a trade-off, wouldn't there? There might be more comfort. There might be more security for the average citizen. Even economic security. I mean, you look at California, and they're spending about $3 billion a year on illegal immigrants. That amounts to about a tenth of the total state budget. They're going broke. They are going broke. They cannot continue to do it. So something's got to be done. Here is a proposal to do it. What do you think about it so far? Kind of a mixed reaction. On the toll-free line, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi there.
How you doing? I'm glad that Angel Show thrilled you.
It did, yes.
Oh my! I think that angels are for real. I do. I think that the natural result of fear is destructive.
Would you turn your radio off for me?
I will.
Everybody, please do that. When you get on the air, turn your radio off all the way. All right.
Okay, I'll be right back with you.
All right. Well, I'll wait. You just really have to do that. You have to get the radios turned down, or it will confuse you. It will make
I do several radios on.
several.
Several. But anyway, the natural result of fear. So what the question is it a hallucination, a fantasy, a hope, etc.?
That's right.
And so, but generally speaking, when we fear things and our stress usually results in destructive processes. Encounters with angels ease fear and result in constructive processes.
Well, why would it not be reasonable to assume that it is a protective mechanism of the mind, which is not at that moment looking for negative, but any way in the world out?
The mind physiologically would have to assume that there is a way out. And so once it makes that assumption, it must enter into another dimension of reality. I think that much of the world is like our physical, much of ourselves is like our physical world, where there's almost huge 75% of ocean and man lives on 25% of land. I think we're 75% spiritual. But we can focus so much on our
again, reason why I'm just like, what the fuck? Damon,
I don't know.
being angel and demon,
Effect that it has on people's lives. And that when the
sorry, doesn't mean good or bad.
of death and destruction, and yet still it results in life and hope. And you have to give it some credence, even if you can't measure it. You can't measure it by its result.
Oh, where are you?
I'm in San Juan.
Salem, Oregon. Well, I really appreciate your
Fucking.
point of view, and I hope that you are correct.
Well, you can know that you're right too, because that tingling that went up and down your spine,
Yes.
that's the ringing the bell of truth in your heart.
Well, maybe. All right, thank you very much for the call. I'm not sure about that because I've had similar tinglings when I've seen ghost stories. It is a kind of a thing that occurs in me when you use the street jargon. I'm kind of freaked out, and it's the familiar tingle of the unknown mixed with a little bit of fear and a lot of other things. So I'm not sure that I agree. And like so many things in my life, I don't know, and so I can't say for sure. I hope that it is true. I hope there are angels. And I suspect that there may be, but I'm not positive. But then I guess
Gal was coming on the show there saying angels create good, productive, and demons, aka the quote unquote. It was it was too much for me. Gal's a nutcase. And it hurts me even more because you're calling in from Salem, Oregon. It's like, ow! Why'd I have to pick this one and get the idiot from Salem? Damn it. Yeah, but she was trying to say angel's good, demon's bad. It's like, no. They're both daemon, and doesn't mean good or bad. You're falling for the bullshit, lady. Oh. Not to mention how much she thinks it actually runs everyday shit. It's like, okay, it does have effect on every day, but it doesn't run every day. Every day is not dictated by the spiritual world. It does have effect on the day, but it doesn't depict or dictate what the day will hold or have. And that's basically what this woman was saying. It's like, no. Just because this happens and you get the demons doesn't mean that it's going to be reproduced in destruction. Another religious cell. Ugh.
That's what it's all about, and that's why we investigate areas like this. And that, by the way, is what Dreamland on Sunday evenings is all about. We'll be back. The trip back in time continues with Mark Bell, hosting Coast to Coast AM. Unless maybe we are evolving. I mean, here we've got all these young people walking around with blank stares. Right? Care not very much about life.
Boy.
Understand the spiritual aspect of life. And so maybe it's true. Maybe we're evolving. I don't know if evolving. I think that maybe more and more desensitized over.
No.
All right, but the end result is
Again, it's about what you do with it, not what you personally believe. It's important to you, and that's where it's important. Once it goes outside of our personal selves, its importance drops off really quick. And that's one thing a lot of America's not realizing over here, is once you go outside yourself with your religion, it doesn't mean a whole lot. I know you do. But that's another one that just kind of has to be said more frequently now for some off reason. Oh, hey, because people aren't getting it.
Yes, and your radio station there is KFH 1330. Yes, sir.
I'd like to talk about angels. I believe in angels myself.
Did you see the program?
I did not miss that program, unfortunately.
2-hour special. It was really good.
Yeah. One thing I might leave with you about that is the Bible says, "Behold the firmament," because it shows the handiwork of God.
Right.
And also, I'd like to talk about the your quote unquote the card.
The card.
Yeah. I don't know if it's specifically necessary to have a card now. I mean, like here in Kansas, they're issuing driver's license that have your social security number on.
Well, here it's even a little stranger than that. Everybody objected to social security numbers being on driver's licenses in about
Oregon was the same way.
They came up with
As a matter of fact, Demon and I were later. Get some sleep. Demon and I were talking about this when we were doing that podcast. Damn it.
Pretty much. In other words, these days, if you've got a job or you've got a loan or you've got financial dealings of any magnitude at all, your social security number is registered.
Yep. Oh, friggin'. Over here, by constitutional right, we're not supposed to have ID. And not only that, we're not supposed to pay for it on top of it. Both happen. And I don't want to go into it too much because I want to make sure I've got my research hunter around so he can help me out with some of it. And I don't get it all mixed up. I do have that part down pat. Had that one for a while. And it's just kind of, I kind of get having ID though, to some extent. But it is what it is. It's not supposed to be a thing we're not supposed to be paying for it. I personally, I only got an issue with paying for it. I don't have too much of an issue with having ID. Having a card to identify myself. But it is technically against all, pretty much everything this country was based on. What I said about being okay with having ID, or the fact that it's going on. Alright, take care, my friend. Later. Yeah, he's right on that.